In the Mix is an MTS original showcasing individuals and their impact on the Jacksonville, Florida creative scene and culture.
My name is Kelly Kotera, and I've been in the music, film, and TV business for 40 years. We lived in Los Angeles most of that time. We moved here about 5 years ago, and before that we had a brief stint in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm retired, but not retired from working on music. I spend a lot of time working on my music, not only for myself, but I also teach music courses. I've been teaching songwriting for the past year and a half at Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. The reason I like to teach there is because obviously there's a lot of really talented folks there, and they're surprisingly good at all kinds of things, including musicians, songwriters. There's actually a creative writing department, and they do all kinds of poetry, which is in a way similar to what we need in the way of lyrics. One of the things I'm trying to do there is get collaboration going, get the musicians to meet with the creative writers, and the creative writers to work on their poetry. And I'm very close with all the teachers there, and they're also helping me get started in this endeavor and getting bigger and bigger group. At one time we had 20 folks and students in the group, and it goes up and down because obviously their homework comes first. This is an art form, not a requirement. But in the same token, last year they needed some people to help with science, and so I have a background in science too as well, because I'm an engineer by training. So I taught chemistry for a month or two last year and a little bit again this year. So I'm kind of embedded in their school program in any way I can. I'm promised that maybe someday I'll have my own class of songwriters. Right now we have a class every Monday. And we get together for just an hour during lunch. It's called Lunch and Learn. We get together for an hour, and I record anybody who's ready to record. And then we also have a Teams meeting, which we actually started last year because the virtual was the only way to go last year. And we meet on Wednesday nights for an hour. And got some really good talent, got some great musicians, some good singers, and some pretty crafty songwriters. So I just in the process of releasing my first album, I should say, of my own. I just put it up on Spotify a couple of days ago. It's called 1975. The story behind that is that as much as I'd like to write modern songs, I'm still embedded in 1975. And so my wife says, "What does this music sound like?" She says, "It sounds like it's 1975. So I said, "Okay, that's what I'll call it, 1975. There's 12 songs on it. It's my first attempt at really writing lyrics. I have several albums already out of instrumentals, which over the years I've been using for various things, such as hoping to get a film score or something like that at some point in time. But now my new challenge is writing stuff with lyrics in it, making songs, and trying to make it very commercial. I teach the students to very basic structure of make a strong chorus, make the hook, find the hook. If you find the hook, you get the hook, and the rest of the song is just support. And they're doing really well. And so it's a wonderful experience for me to be able to share a little bit of my experience in the past. In the 70s, I worked at Record Plant Los Angeles. At Record Plant Los Angeles, mobile particularly, which is mobile vans that went around and followed bands. The band that I have the most credits for is the Eagles. In 1976, I was one of the members of the engineering crew that helped the Eagles with their first live album. And it was quite a challenge because they had a full orchestra behind them, good musicians, obviously LA Philharmonic, best they could choose. And that was an exciting event. And then in 1980, they did another live event, and then they released both the 1976 material and the 1980 material in 1980, and it went platinum immediately. Of course, they're still touring today. I would love to see them again. Hopefully, I'm going to get a chance to see them again someday. Some of the members have changed. I did work also on the side with Don Henley. He was producing an act while he was in recording Hotel California, the album, not the live. I was also sitting in another studio working with one of his artists, trying to help her getting going. And of course, all the Eagles, one at a time, would come and overdub their parts on it. So it's an exciting time. And I'm trying to recreate as much of that energy as I possibly can from 1975 here in 2022, which seems like a long time from then. I'm learning more than the students do most of the time, because they're showing me all kinds of new music that I just was not familiar with. And I'm learning all kinds of the way new music is done today. I love just listening to the young kids, their ideas, where their head's at. You know, it's obviously a different time, like I was saying earlier, and anything that I can learn from them, I'm there to learn. So I'm the teacher, but I'm the one that's learning the fastest, and that's what inspires me, is working with young kids. It goes back to the situation that I remember closely, that at the age of 14, Taylor Swift got her first job working in Nashville as a paid songwriter. Obviously, she's gone on to become extremely successful. So I think there's something magic about the kids when they're in junior high and high school, where they're feeling a lot of tension, they're going through their changes, and some of them come up with some really great stuff, and that's what I'm always looking for, is to pull out that creative energy and to capitalize on it and help them get started with something useful. Of course, I also encourage them to make sure they do well in school with their studies, because if you don't do a little bit of both, then you can fall behind. And so all the options on the table, follow your strengths, work your strengths, and that's kind of what my approach is. Do the best you can with everything. Treat everything as put your all into it. Well, that's something that I've been trying to find more of. It's obviously we're kind of knocked off the block a while back because we had the COVID and all of that. We kind of lost track. But before that started, I was going to a lot of songwriter events and listening to songwriters. Bonnie and Clyde, they're also songwriters. And then Mike Shackelford is also hosts a lot of songwriters. But the tone of those is a little bit different than what you get from the younger kids. So I'm still hoping that once these kids graduate, they continue with some part of music, either part-time or full-time, if they're lucky, and pursue it. I'd like to see more of the music scene here, other than just the bar scene. I go to RAM. I had a trio for a while, and we played at RAM once, and that was exciting. But I'm no longer a playing musician because I got tired of hauling all the equipment around. So I said, nah, let's let somebody else do that. Well, our company is called Screen Door Music. It's a publishing company, been in business since 1975. And funny, 1975 is the same album name that I just put out. Album is on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon, or should be there shortly on all of them, as I have published it about a week ago. So they can find me there, and hopefully they'll at least listen. I also have an instrumental album that's out on SoundCloud, and if they would like to listen to that. But if they have a Spotify or any one of the streaming services, they can probably hear stuff, just Kelly Kotera, and that's where I'll be. And of course, they can always respond. And I try to get as many people back to as I can if they actually have any questions. I'd like to build up my ability to teach songwriters of any age in the near future. So that's my goal coming up, is I'm going to really launch the business to try to help new songwriters. We need another breakthrough hit type group to come out of Jacksonville as soon as possible. And I want to, in any way I can, help contribute to that.
Find the series on YouTube and ntsjax.fm.